questions. So today's meeting, we didn't have a set agenda. So if there's any questions or topics people would like covered, please go ahead and let us know. While you're thinking about that, I'll just mention that the Volttron users meeting is coming up August 29th and 30th. And if you would like to attend, I'll post the link here into chat. It'll be a chance for folks to meet other members of the community and to get some hands-on experience with the development team and other users to get some experience with the platform. So we're pretty excited to give people a chance to do that. So here we go. Link is in the chat window. So yeah, as I mentioned, this is just a free open time as everybody gets ready for the user meeting, but more than happy to answer any questions. Jen, how are things going with your use of the platform? Oh, you're muted, by the way. No response.
Hello.
Hello. Oh.
Yeah, I must say I had to step away from the Volttron topic for a while because I was working on other projects, and I'm still busy with these projects. So I just wanted to reconnect and see where things stand.
Okay. Yeah, so we are working on the Python 3 version of Volttron, and we're prepping for the user meeting. Yeah, that's where the quick version of where it stands. We've been working on a MATLAB, improved MATLAB integration, working on the how to get certificates for RabbitMQ-based Volttron instances exchange, that sort of thing. And in a couple minutes here, we can probably do an example, or just a quick run through of how to configure a Modbus driver in Volttron. That's something we've been doing with some collaborators at another national lab as we work to get them to do an experiment of hardware in the loop with in their lab here. So James, just let me know when you're ready. Brandon, do you maybe want to talk about ModBusy real quick? I know you'll be covering it at the user meeting, but might be good just to mention it in case people are interested.
Sure, not a whole lot to say, except it's just a library to, in a really easy way, make a Modbus slave. So you can write emulators for your development environment. That way you don't have to have real Modbus devices. And then you can also use it to kind of drive a simulation by using say a CSV file that has your points in it. So I do plan on presenting this at the Volttron users group, or sorry, the users meeting later this month.
Okay, great. So you can interact with it just as if it was a Modbus device.
Yeah, it supports the Modbus protocol. The other nice thing about it is it doesn't require you to know a lot about Modbus. So basically, if you know how to set up the points in Volttron, you know, for the master driver agent, for it to access a Modbus, if you know how to set those up, that's a really the only information you need to create your slave as well.
Okay. Yeah, and that way, if you know the the registers and whatever for a real device, then you can kind of get set up with your config file against something simulated before you get there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we've been using it on our own project just to create a simulated environment so that individual testers can, or individual developers can be developing without us having to expose the real hardware. Because you can also do bad things if you expose your real hardware.
Right. Yeah, you don't want people learning and debugging on the real thing necessarily.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, right, you can only have one master controlling the slave, which would mean only one developer could have access to it at a time anyway. So yeah, it makes use of decorators. It's based on another project, Modbus project, that eludes me at the moment. The name of it, I'd have to, it's been a while since I've looked at it. So, but I am going to brush up and be ready to present it.
Excellent. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, I think I'm about ready.
Okay.
Okay.
Go for it. So it's been a while since we talked about, are you going to do Modbus TK, James?
I think that would be probably a second presentation.
Okay.
I'm sort of doing this spur of the moment, so.
Okay. Yeah. So just a refresher on how to set up a Modbus driver.
Could you guys let me know when you see what I'm looking at?
Yep, I see it.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna kind of, link what I'm talking about to a specification that I worked with someone on. So there's going to be several things in these specifications that are useful, and you'll have to essentially have some documentation on the device you're working with. So the kinds of things we're going to care about here are knowing that the data is in the form of a 16-bit integers, knowing that it's big endian, then having a list of registers that we're interested in reading and or writing to. So what I'm trying to get at is when you're preparing these configurations, we need to be able to refer to these things. So let's take a look at some configurations I've prepared. Now these aren't going to be for the specification, but the ideas will apply. So we have, for the default Modbus driver, we have two different configurations we're going to use. We have our .config file, which is going to be JSON formatted, and we have a CSV that I'll refer to from here on as the registry configuration. So over here in our JSON configuration, we have a few things that are really important, and then a few things which are helpful. So the most important things here are this driver config block. So up in here, you'll have to have, the IP address of the device you're connecting to, its slave ID, the port. In most cases, the port will probably be 502, but it's something to be aware of. The driver type, which for us is the default Modbus, so just this regular Modbus string. The registry configuration, and this will be the path for which you're going to store it in the config store. So we could put something in here like registry configs /C1000 DAV, and what that would do is in the config store, store it in the subdirectory for registry configuration. And then you'll have an interval, which is how often you want to scrape the device. I have mine set pretty low, but I think for the campus deployment, we're at something like 5 minutes. And then the time zone, you want to have the timestamps converted to. The other points we have here, this is going to help you determine your device's topic. So set these as you see fit, and those are optional. And then we have how you want that topic to be put onto the message bus. So do you want the topic to be published, according to these options? Okay, so then we'll have this CSV, which will be our list of points. We're going to have basically a point name. In the case of the low-tech configuration, or the low-tech specification that I showed earlier, I used the same points in creating the configuration. But for the Volttron point name, it's essentially arbitrary. It's whatever would be easily understandable for the user. So that's going to be what actually displays on the message bus for the point name. The units, you'll notice some of them just don't have any units. That's fine. That's one of the options. Percentages, degrees Celsius, meters, that sort of thing. The column writable is whether or not you're able to write to the point. The point address. So this guy is a little bit interesting. The documentation will say that you'll need the full point address for the default Modbus device. And that, okay. So in my experience, that hasn't been the case. I've been able to use this offset successfully to read points, but that will just be the register offset. So if you have registered 40,011, you can throw 11 up here, and that should be fine. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody just started back. One.
Still there?
Yeah, sorry, I want to close the door so you didn't have to listen to someone vacuuming.
Same.
So these columns, the Modbus register, the point address, writable unit, and Volttron point name are going to be your required columns. Notes is just literally for you to put in whatever, so if you need to refer to the config at some future point. And the multiplier is useful in that you can use it to essentially specify some magnitude offset that the points are coming in as. But again, that's an optional column. And if you have any trouble building configurations, you can refer to the read the docs. If you just search for Modbus or Modbus configuration, it'll pop right up. It will explain some of the more esoteric portions of this. For example, the register, the greater than H is probably not very clear to some of you. This refers to a large endian unsigned integer value of 16 bits. And the read the doc specification will help you through all of that and provide you some links for determining which Modbus register style is appropriate for your data. Common ones are going to be something like unsigned 16-bit integers. Floats are pretty common. Booleans are generally going to be for things like coils. But again, it's down to what your specifications provide and what you can find in the documentation, and I'm happy to help with that. So once we have a couple of configurations made up, we're going to have to store them in the config store. So we're going to activate our platform. or activate our environment rather. Start the platform. Going to tail the log for the demonstration. Okay, and so we can use a few Volttron control commands to navigate the config store and determine what's going on inside of it. This command, yes, Jeremy?
No, I just said Gazoo.
Okay. So vcotl config is the sort of config command. List will show you all the configuration stored for whatever identity comes next. If we look at our status, we can see that the platform driver is the master driver agent's identity, so we're going to be storing configurations for it. Currently, you can see that I don't have any installed from the last time I ran this command up here. So at this point, we know we don't have any conflicts, so we can begin to store some configs. So the way we're going to do that is with the same config command, but we're going to use the store option instead. We're going to specify we're storing it for this identity. And then we're going to give it a series of parameters. The first parameter is going to be the storage location in the config store. And then the second one will be a path to the configuration file, and the final one will be the data type. So if we were to store this .config configuration, we would do something like devices/c1000. And what this is going to do is this is going to be the topic. It should correspond to the topic anyway. Then we'll give, this guy does not need to have the extension. Again, this is where you're storing this configuration in the config store. So for this particular type, we can leave it off if we so choose. We're going to give it the path to this configuration. Then our data type is going to be prefixed with this double dash. And for these JSON style configs, we'll specify that they're JSON, although for JSON specifically, that's not necessary because that is what it defaults to. But for the purposes of the demonstration, so that people are used to it, I'm going to do this double dash JSON option. So we can see that the device config is stored in this relative path. And then we're going to store our second configuration, which is going to be our registry configuration. For this one, we're going to see that the path I'm giving it here is going to correspond directly to whatever is in my .config configuration. So we'll use the same starting command. And then we'll use that exact value here. I will note that this is one place that a lot of beginners seem to struggle with. So it's, be aware of it. Is what I would like to have as one of the main takeaways here. The documentation I think does reflect this, but still some people struggle with it. And we'll give it a path again. And this time we will specify it as a CSV. This time, since this isn't the default, for the CSV configurations, you must have this option. Okay, so you can see that it was stored down here in our log. And it will give you a bit of a dump of it as well. And at this point, we should be ready to start. Again, the default Modbus only requires these two configurations per slave. So if you have multiple slaves for a device, you would put in two configurations, and it will meet both. So we can start our listener to see our points as they get published. And then assuming that the board is online, we will start to see some values come through. If you didn't set a default, which is another one of the optional columns, you will see it complain about that, but it's not actually going to fail to scrape. Although evidently the device is not actually online at the moment, so we are seeing the Modbus is failing to connect to it. Unfortunately, this particular board is just kind of wonky.
So that's why you need Modbusy. The thing Brandon just talked about. But
yeah,
but otherwise it's set up. There you go.
Yeah, that's the basics. If you want to remove your configurations, you can do this configuration command again, and then delete for the identity that you're interested in. And then if you want to delete all of them, you can do -- all, or you can enter the config path that you put it in the config store. So something like devices/c1000. Yeah, spell that. Now if we list it again, you can see that that one is no longer installed. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be open to that, or if you want to contact me directly, if you need some help with something like this, I'm happy to entertain that as well.
All right, great. Thanks, James.
No problem.
And we'll make this available online. This is a good walkthrough of setting that up with the config store and everything like that. So, all right, we'll throw it back open for questions or any research that people want to discuss. And if there are no items, then we will call it a meeting. All right, I think we'll try to line up some more application talks probably after the user meeting. So if you have any areas that you're especially interested in, just let us know what those are, and we can try and find some presentations. All right, thanks everybody. We will talk to you later.